Some of the smartest survival techniques in human history weren't lost because they failed. They were erased because they worked too well and scared the people in power. That's the uncomfortable truth buried inside medieval history. For centuries, everyday people across Europe, the Middle East, and Asia developed survival tricks that kept them alive through famine, war, plague, and brutal winters. Many of these methods were practical, repeatable, and honestly, shockingly effective. And yet, over time, authorities banned them, ridiculed them, or labelled them dangerous, unclean, or even heretical. Here's the twist. Modern science has taken a second look. And in many cases, researchers now agree those medieval survivors were doing something incredibly smart. Today, we're uncovering 10 banned medieval survival tricks that history tried to bury, but evidence now proves were pure genius. Medieval communities stored food deep underground in stone-lined cellars, caves, and pits. Authorities often discouraged this practice, claiming it caused sickness or bad air. In reality, these structures maintained stable temperatures year-round, slowed bacterial growth, and preserved food without salt or fire. Modern food science confirms that cool, low-light, low-oxygen environments dramatically extend shelf life. These cellars weren't primitive. They were biological refrigerators built with nothing but rock, soil, and experience. Wood ash was widely used to coat meat, vegetables, and even grain seeds. Church authorities and city councils sometimes banned it, calling it unsanitary or pagan. But ash creates an alkaline barrier that kills bacteria and insects while absorbing moisture. Scientists now recognize this as a low-tech antimicrobial method. In survival terms, ash preservation meant protein lasted weeks instead of days. No smoke, no salt, just chemistry, centuries before chemistry had a name. Medieval people often drank small beer, a low-alcohol brew, instead of water. Officials tried to curb the practice, fearing drunkenness and social disorder. What they didn't understand was biology. The boiling process killed pathogens, and the mild alcohol inhibited bacterial growth. Modern epidemiology confirms it was far safer than untreated water sources. This wasn't alcoholism. It was water purification disguised as culture. During prolonged food shortages, some medieval communities, they intentionally reduced daily intake far below normal levels instead of eating everything at once. Authorities, they condemn this as dangerous and cruel. Today, metabolic science calls it calorie restriction. Studies show it slows metabolism, preserves energy, and actually increases survival during scarcity. Medieval survivors didn't know the term, but they certainly knew the result. Stretching limited food meant living longer. During outbreaks, some medieval doctors and travellers avoided wool and favoured tightly woven linen garments. Others, they mocked this practice or even banned it in certain cities. Modern science now confirms linen dries quickly, traps fewer parasites, and harbours less bacteria than wool. It also washes more cleanly. These weren't fashion choices at all. They were early infection control measures hiding in plain sight. Known in parts of medieval Europe, hay boxes allowed food to continue cooking after being removed from heat. Authorities often discouraged them, calling them unsafe or lazy. In reality, insulated containers retained heat long enough to fully cook grains and stews while saving massive amounts of fuel. Modern thermodynamics, you see, confirms the efficiency. In harsh winters, this method meant warmth, calories and survival without wasting firewood. So, medieval bed cabinets might have looked pretty strange to outsiders, and, well, they were sometimes even banned because people feared suffocation. But, you know, these enclosed wooden beds actually trap body heat, cut down on drafts, and really helped conserve warmth in those chilly, unheated homes. Thermal studies nowadays show they dramatically lowered nighttime heat loss. Pretty impressive, right? In freezing conditions, honestly, this could have been the difference between waking up or, not waking up at all. Long before antibiotics, some medieval healers, believe it or not, actually applied bread mould to infected wounds. Authorities at the time condemned this practice as unclean or just plain superstitious. But, as it turns out, modern science later discovered penicillin came from mould. While their methods weren't exactly controlled or refined, they were, in a way, directionally correct. These healers observed reduced infection and faster healing because, without realizing it, they were using antimicrobial compounds. Villages, back in the day, often shared these large smokehouses to preserve meat and fish. But as cities grew, officials started shutting them down, mostly over fire risks and, well, complaints about the smell. Now, smoke actually contains natural preservatives like phenols and formaldehyde, which really inhibit bacteria. Modern food science confirms that smoking dramatically extends shelf life. Losing these communal systems made people more dependent on salt and trade, and honestly, that reduced resilience during a crisis. In desert and Mediterranean regions, medieval travellers moved primarily at night to avoid heat exhaustion. Some rulers, however, banned night travel due to security concerns. Modern physiology confirms that nighttime travel conserves water, reduces heat stress, and increases endurance. These travellers weren't reckless. They were, in fact, optimizing human limits long before heat science even existed. Here's the powerful lesson hidden inside all 10 of these techniques. Medieval survival wasn't dumb luck or blind tradition. It was tested knowledge, refined by generations who lived close to failure. What got these methods banned wasn't ineffectiveness. It was fear, fear of disorder, fear of lost control, fear of knowledge spreading outside official systems. Today, science is catching up to what ordinary people already knew. Survival favours those who observe, adapt, and refuse to waste energy. And that's exactly what this channel is about. Before modern times exists, to recover the forgotten intelligence of the past, not to romanticize it, but to understand it. Because when systems fail, when technology disappears, when resources run thin, these old ideas suddenly become very new again. If you found even one of these techniques surprising, hit like. If you want more hidden survival knowledge from before modern technology, subscribe. And if you know someone who loves history, resilience, or the idea that our ancestors were smarter than we give them credit for, share this video with them. Stay curious, stay resourceful, and stay with before modern times, where forgotten knowledge comes back to life.